So you're dreaming of studying in Europe. Picturing yourself on those amazing historic campuses, learning from the best, is a really powerful idea for so many students in India.
It really is. But then the cost factor kicks in, right? It can seem like a huge hurdle.
Exactly. Which brings us to the big question we're tackling today. Can scholarships actually make that European study dream a reality? Is it financially within reach?
That's what we're diving into. We've sifted through, well, a lot of material you've sent over, guides, articles, expert takes, even some really inspiring student stories.
Yeah, quite a stack.
So our mission today is pretty clear. We want to, cut through all that information, pull out the key details on scholarships for the 2025 application cycle, and give you practical tips straight from these sources.
So if you're listening and want to get up to speed quickly but properly on how to navigate this whole scholarship thing, this is definitely for you.
And what's really encouraging, I think, from the sources is that it's not just about tuition fees. Many options can potentially cover living costs, maybe even travel.
Makes it feel a bit more possible, doesn't it?
It really does. More achievable than maybe you first thought.
Okay, so let's get into it. The sources talk about different types of scholarships. Where should we start? Maybe the big government or EU ones.
Yeah, good place to start. The one that comes up again and again is the Erasmus Plus Scholarship Program. That's the big EU one.
Right, Erasmus plus ALE. What do the sources tell us about what it actually covers and who can apply?
Well, the coverage is usually pretty comprehensive. We're talking tuition, definitely travel costs, and often a living allowance, too.
That's significant.
It is. For eligibility, you generally need a bachelor's degree, a strong academic background, obviously, and, this is key, you need to be accepted into a specific Erasmus Mundus Joint Master Degree Program.
Ah, those joint programs where you study in multiple countries.
Exactly. They're run by consortiums of universities. And the sources say you usually apply directly via the program's own website, not some central EU portal for the scholarship itself.
Okay, good to know. Now, Germany also gets mentioned a lot. DAID scholarships.
Absolutely. DAAD, the German Academic Exchange Service, they have a whole range of scholarships. The sources highlight that the coverage often includes a monthly stipend, which is great for living costs, plus a travel allowance and health insurance.
Sounds pretty good. Is the eligibility the same as Erasmus plus BAG?
Slightly different, actually. You
Yeah.
still need that bachelor's degree. But the sources point out that for many of the popular DAAD options, especially in fields like, say, engineering or business, they often require at least 2 years of work experience after your bachelor's.
Oh, okay. That's a really important distinction, something to plan for.
Definitely.
And France, the Eiffel Excellence Scholarship comes up too. What's the story there?
Right, the Eiffel Scholarship. It's from the French Ministry for Europe and Foreign Affairs. Coverage, again, looks good. Monthly allowance, international travel, health insurance.
And who are they looking for?
This one has age limits mentioned in the sources. Under 25 for master's applicants and under 30 for PhDs. And, like the name suggests, excellence is key. You need a really strong academic record. It's merit-based.
Okay, so those are some big government and EU players. But the sources also talk about scholarships directly from the universities, right? Some highly competitive ones.
Yes, exactly. Like the ETH Zurich Excellence Scholarship in Switzerland. The sources specifically call it out as, like, one of the most competitive, merit-based scholarships in all of Europe.
ETH Zurich, wow. What makes it so sought after? What's the coverage?
It covers full tuition and living costs. So it's the full package.
Huge.
Huge. But yeah, the eligibility reflects that.
Right.
You need absolutely top-tier academic records, and obviously you need to get admitted into one of their master's programs first.
Makes sense. For the best of the best. Leiden University in the Netherlands is also listed.
Yep, Leiden. Their excellent scholarship is worth noting because the sources clarify it's specifically for non-EU students, which includes Indian citizens. It offers a tuition fee waiver, which can make a massive difference.
And is it for specific subjects?
The sources mention law, science, and social and behavioral sciences students being eligible for that one at Leiden.
Got it. And Italy pops up too, the University of Bologna?
Yeah, Italy's oldest university. They offer annual study grants, specifically targeting meritorious international students. The sources even give a figure around $11,000 per academic year.
How do they decide who gets those?
It seems eligibility is often linked to your scores on standardized tests, like the SAT, ACT, or GRE.
Okay. So, beyond these kind of headline-grabbing scholarships, the sources also point towards country-specific options, maybe less famous, but still significant. Sweden, Ireland, Norway.
That's right. Sweden, for instance, offers the Swedish Institute scholarships. These are aimed at international professionals. And the sources say they're pretty generous, covering tuition, living costs, insurance, even travel grants.
What's the focus for eligibility there?
It seems to center on leadership potential alongside a strong academic record. They're looking for future leaders.
Interesting. And Ireland, the Government of Ireland International Education Scholarships.
Correct. These are awarded to high-achieving non-EU students. Again, comprehensive coverage. Full tuition waiver, plus a stipend of EUR 10,000. You need outstanding academic results from your bachelor's.
And Norway, I think the sources mentioned something about the quota scheme changing.
They do mention that, yeah. The old quota scheme is being phased out. But the sources are quick to point out that doesn't mean Norway is off the table. Far from it.
Oh.
Numerous Norwegian universities still offer tuition-free education to international students. And on top of that, many have financial aid options, like scholarships for living costs, often tied directly to getting admitted into a full-time master's program.
So one door closes, but others remain open or new ones appear.
Exactly. The potential for affordable study in Norway is still very much there, according to the sources.
Okay, this is all sounding quite positive, lots of options, but here's where, maybe the reality check comes in. The sources also talk quite a bit about the challenges, the hurdles students face, especially looking ahead to 2025. What kind of problems come up?
Yeah, the sources don't shy away from the difficulties. They list things like, well, scholarship management systems sometimes being fragmented, not centralized. Application procedures can be outdated or confusing.
Communication issues.
Yes, poor communication between universities and applicants is mentioned. Also, just the difficulty of finding some of the less advertised scholarships. A lack of transparency sometimes in how decisions are made.
Yeah.
And frustrating delays in getting the actual funds, bureaucratic holdups.
Wow, okay. That list could definitely feel a bit overwhelming if you're just starting out.
You could, yeah.
So what does this mean for you, the listener, trying to navigate all this? The sources must offer some advice, some tips on how to manage it.
Oh, absolutely. There's a whole section really on practical tips. The biggest one, emphasized repeatedly, is start early. Like 12 months before deadlines early.
A whole year.
Yeah, gives you time. And another major tip, tailor every single application. No generic statements of purpose or letters of recommendation. Customize everything.
Makes sense. And using online tools.
Crucial. The sources explicitly name-check sites like daad.de, scholarshipportal.eu, and studyeurope.eu. They say these are essential for finding opportunities.
Okay, what about just staying organized with potentially multiple applications? That sounds like a job in itself.
It really is. The sources suggest using tools like Trello or Notion, like project management software, just to track deadlines and requirements for each scholarship.
Smart.
And also creating a central place like a folder on your computer or cloud storage for all your core documents, lowers, SOPs, transcripts, CV. Saves so much time.
Good practical tip. Anything else?
Yeah, they suggest looking beyond the obvious big names. Search for niche scholarships, maybe in newer fields like sustainable development or AI, where competition might be slightly lower. And create a budget before you even apply so you know exactly what funding you need.
What about learning from others, people who've done it?
Yes, big emphasis on that. The sources suggest emailing past scholars, asking for their advice, tapping into that alumni experience.
That's a great idea.
And getting feedback on your application materials. Have professors or mentors review your statement of purpose, for instance.
Yep.
Oh, and a really practical one. Don't submit at the last minute. Allow time for review, technical glitches, whatever.
Definitely been there.
Right. And if interviews are required, practice for them.
And what about backup plans, just in case the dream scholarship doesn't come through?
Yeah, the sources mentioned being realistic and having contingencies. Look into student loans, maybe university assistantships, jobs on campus, as ways to supplement funding, or as an alternative if needed.
Okay, so plan A, B, and C. Got it. The sources also bring in voices of experts, consultants, people working in this field. What are the key takeaways from their perspectives?
Well, one interesting point from Shweta Singh, an EduEurope consultant, is that Indian students sometimes miss out on funds managed directly by the universities themselves. Not the big national schemes, but internal scholarships.
Ah, so you need to dig deeper on the university websites.
Exactly. She advises following university scholarship officers on social media, joining their webinars. Dr. Martin Koch from DAADO adds another angle. He suggests looking at scholarships with strong alumni networks. Think beyond just the money to the connections it brings post-graduation.
That's a long-term view. Interesting. It also sounds like there isn't total agreement among experts on the best way forward for managing scholarships.
No, there's definitely a debate highlighted in the sources. Some worry that centralizing everything too much could push out smaller, maybe more flexible funding sources like NGOs.
Whereas others,
Others argue strongly for using technology, like mobile apps with real-time updates, to make information much more accessible, especially for students in rural areas who might not have easy access to guidance centers.
right, bridging that digital divide.
Exactly. Anita Pillai, from the India to EU Foundation, is quoted emphasizing the need for both digital tools and grassroots efforts to really make scholarships accessible to everyone, democratize the process, essentially.
And other experts seem to confirm that Europe is increasingly keen on attracting Indian students.
Yes. Dr. Anjali Gupta points out that European universities recognize the quality of Indian students and are boosting scholarships, both need-based and merit-based. She specifically mentions Germany, France, and the Netherlands again.
And Professor Lehman.
Professor Marcus Lehman adds that India is seen as a key strategic partner, so institutions are creating more tailored scholarships as part of a wider push for international exchange. The sources also mentioned articles by Dr. Rajika Bhandari, Dr. Rahul Chudaha, Shiksha Sudhakar. Lots of expert discussion on this.
So putting all those expert views together, what really jumps out at you?
For me, it's that sort of two-pronged reality. You have the big official programs, yes, but actually getting access often means doing that extra digging for university funds, using your network smartly, and being aware that just finding the information isn't always straightforward for everyone.
Right. It's not just about qualifications, it's about the search strategy, too.
Precisely. Active research and networking are key.
And to really drive this home, the sources include actual student stories, success stories. That always makes it feel more real, doesn't it?
It really does. Like Vijay Kumar. He came from a rural background in Karnataka. The sources detail how he got a full 100% tuition waiver at TU Berlin, plus a monthly living stipend through BAID.
Wow. How does he manage that?
He credits guidance he received specifically on his SOP, his CV, and navigating the German APS process, that academic recognition step. He really emphasized the importance of belief and support.
That's powerful. And Punitha Kar, different field, right?
Yeah, computer science grad from Bengaluru. His story is about the Erasmus Mundus process. He got into a joint master's in big data management across multiple countries: Spain, Italy, France.
And the funding.
He secured the full Erasmus Plus scholarship, covered everything: tuition, travel, insurance, stipend. His big takeaway was how targeted guidance made that complex application process feel manageable.
Okay, one more Shashank SK. His story sounds a bit different again.
It is. Shashank had good grades, but couldn't cover the full tuition fees. He got a 60% tuition allowance for Nine Road Business College in the Netherlands. But importantly, he was also helped to find a paid part-time job alongside his studies.
Ah, so a combination of funding sources.
Exactly. The job covered his living costs and, crucially, helped him build his professional network in Amsterdam right away. His story highlights getting expert help to match scholarships with relevant work or internship opportunities.
These stories really show it's possible, but yeah, it takes tailored effort, research, maybe some help along the way. The sources even give some hard numbers for recent years.
They do. For 2024-2025, they mention over 5,000 Indian students funded through Erasmus plus Median. Germany hosted over 800 AD scholars from India. France awarded 120 Sharpak scholarships. And they highlight the INLAX Foundation, a private one, averaging around 100,000 USD per student, a huge investment.
Those numbers really illustrate the scale, that there's significant funding going towards Indian students in Europe.
Definitely. The opportunities are substantial.
So let's wrap this up. We've gone through a lot of material. What's the big picture takeaway from this deep dive? It seems studying in Europe isn't just some impossible dream for a select few.
Not at all. The sources clearly show there are many, many avenues for financial help. Government schemes, university funds, country-specific programs, covering all sorts of costs, not just tuition.
But getting that funding takes work. As this challenges and tips showed, you've got to start early, tailor your applications meticulously, use the right resources, stay organized.
Absolutely. And the expert views, the student stories, they all point to the same thing: being informed, being persistent, being strategic about finding the right opportunities for you, maybe asking for help when you need it.
It feels like it's about changing the perspective, seeing Europe less as a huge financial wall and more as a massive opportunity that requires a smart approach.
Exactly. If you use the information out there, like what's in these sources, and apply those practical strategies, that high-quality European education might be much more within reach than you perhaps thought.
Which leads me to a final thought, something for you, the listener, to chew on. We heard those expert points about digital innovation versus grassroots inclusion and scholarship access. So, thinking about that, how do you believe the whole international scholarship system needs to change or evolve, particularly for students from maybe less privileged backgrounds, to truly unlock the potential of every single talented student, no matter where they are in the world?